Good day, everybody. Thank you for joining me on the channel. In today's XRP technical analysis coverage, we will be breaking down the echoes of 2017 and what it could mean for price action in the not so distant future. Do stay tuned. Nothing that I say is financial advice. Let's dive into the content. So when we talk about echoes of 2017 in regards to price action structure, if we come over to the timeline and look at the actual formation of this mini sort of accumulation zone before we actually witnessed a large major move for XRP, you will notice that we had two sort of failed breakout peaks, a large wick to the downside in January of 2017, and then February into March, we started a massive rocket explosion, which then consolidated for a few more months before initially putting in a blow off top to the previous all-time high in January 2018. So if we analyze this current structure here and fast forward look to 2025, the echo is the fact that XRP is printing a very similar structure. We have two failed points of breakouts in this reaccumulation zone, and we also have the large wick to the downside that occurred in October, and right now we still hold within this sort of this sort of trading range. So at the moment, the echo is pretty damn similar. I mean, if you look at the structure, it's near enough identical. And if we go over to my X and actually look at the post here, side by side, there is not much difference whatsoever. In fact, the month after the wick, we saw the hold in 2017 before the sort of third month in, we actually got the break. We've had the wick. November, we've actually seen a sort of similar candle, which has brought us back down to the support block zone in the trading range. And at this moment in time, December and January could start to look a bit promising. Again, this trading range doesn't have to be exactly the same sort of size, in duration to 2016-17. In fact, this one might have been a bit longer. And this could stretch on for some time as well, just, knocking the confidence of certain holders. And this is where potentially we're seeing in this sort of accumulation zone between a trading range where the short-term sellers are actually rotating into the long-term holders' hands. So this is very, very interesting fractal. And again, the title Echoes of 2017 are very hard to ignore. Now, if we look at this chart here for XRP as well, which is a very sort of similar sort of fractal, and it shows this staircase. And I've tweeted this on X, and it's called the staircase to Valhalla. Okay, and you can see that evidently XRP has been accumulating, breaking out, reaccumulating, and is now looking for a decision, potentially where we've got this markup phase, which takes it to double digits. Now, I've marked two sort of scenarios. One is where we actually deviate below and come to fill in the wick from October, and we actually lose support here, and again put the fear into people's minds, when in fact, if we do actually come back to this sort of territory, which sits at sort of $1.42, you'll notice that it actually ties up with the highs and the candle closes of May of 2021. And that's exactly where this wick from October has actually found its level of support. So, if that wick does tend to get filled and we do see XRP get a sweep, then in my honest opinion, this could be a massive spring leading into sort of Q1 of 2026 that would bring XRP right back into this accumulation sort of block, the trading range, and then go for the markup push. That's scenario two. So importantly, with scenario one, just as equal coverage, we could actually hold the $1.90, which is the vertical accumulation support in this accumulation phase. We could actually hold that as support here, build up for another couple of weeks, and then attempt a run up to the vertical accumulation resistance. So there's two sort of scenarios, and either way, I think that 2026 is looking to be a prosperous year for altcoins, and I don't think it will be any different for XRP, especially with all of the bullish news, the fundamental developments, the acquisitions, the ETF inflows. It's just non-stop, and obviously this sort of range for the last year has just got people right on the edge of their seats and panicking. When truly this could be one of the biggest opportunities for XRP if you missed out prior to the run in sort of November of 2024. So this is just another fractal I thought was worth covering. If we also come over to my X here, and this is a tweet I recently shared about 40 minutes ago, and it's on the daily time frame, XRP has a bullish divergence. And this was something I noted back in sort of November, on the 18th of November, where we was forming these lower lows and the price was forming higher lows in the price action. And again, we actually formed that sort of third lower low, ran up into the 20 EMA. Now, this blue line on the chart here, guys, that we're actually looking at on this photo, this diagram, this blue line is the main level of resistance that XRP needs to break in order to start pushing back up towards sort of $2.20/30, and it currently sits at $2.13. So on the daily time frame, there is these higher lows and lower low formations forming, which is indicating a strong bullish divergence. However, we must start claiming these EMAs back in order to see a nice breakout to the upside here. Failing that, we may sort of roll over and potentially form a lower low on the in price, and we could actually roll over in the RSI back down to the trend line for a third point of contact. So, you know, all eyes on XRP at the moment. Nonetheless, it's still in its multi-month sort of trading range. And again, just looking at the daily RSI here as well, I've said that a large move is brewing. The RSI has been forming a triangle compression structure since early September with lower highs and higher low formation. So you can see the RSI has got this lower high compression resistance, and we also have this higher low compression resistance, and the RSI is getting really tight into an apex here, looking for a break. So I do think within the coming weeks, we are likely to see a breakout in XRP and a decision ultimately made, you know, whether we actually start breaking down in structure and going for something like scenario 2 here and retracing back to sort of $1.40/50, or if we, you know, hold support in this accumulation zone and look for a massive breakout like we did in sort of November, December of 2024. So a lot hangs in the balance at the moment, but nonetheless, it's very exciting, and I love covering it, guys. I'll be honest with you. Now, if we're sort of looking at altcoins here as well, looking at the total 3 chart, I've said that altcoins are possibly gearing up for one of the largest rallies in history. Whilst fear settles into people's minds, the data points towards a huge cup and handle pattern on the total 3 monthly chart. So years of waiting and sacrifice may be over. Hold on tight. You can evidently see this monthly structure here where you've got this massive cut, and then we have this handle formation that's potentially forming right now. And we also have the 20-month EMA, which has been the sort of guidance line throughout this sort of uptick since sort of 2022, 2023. Ever since we got back above that 20 EMA, every time the total market cap or total 3 is retraced to it, it's found a new local high, come back to it, a new local high. Right now, we're back on this important EMA once again. And I do think that we will see a nice sort of relief in the coming weeks for altcoins. Ultimately, tying up with that as well, we also have Bitcoin dominance on the 3-month, which has this red resistance line, which it ran into in sort of July, August, September. We have also got this lower high print in Q4 here. And as long as BTC remains below this resistance line, it's more than likely, you know, there is going to be some relief bounces along the way. But I think we're entering a phase very similar to alt seasons in the past here. And, you know, but this is where Bitcoin dominance is likely to start witnessing a major crash heading into the later parts of 2026, where it may actually find support on this multi-year support line as well. So, you know, if history is to repeat, this is a bear market going up to resistance. This is a bull market and alt season going down to support for altcoins. This is Bitcoin dominance going up and necessarily in a bear market. And right now we're looking for that bull market. It's been several years since we've actually seen any major euphoric runs on altcoins. So unless you consider 2024, the last bits of that cycle, there were some really, really nice runs. So ultimately, that's my sort of analysis update today. The echoes of 2016-17, what it could mean for 2025, uncanny similarities here, and it looks like it's going to be a positive year ahead. I hope you've enjoyed the content from Chart Nerd TA. Take care.